One moment, the Boeing 777 soared smoothly through the skies. The next, chaos struck passengers thrown from their seats, screams echoing through the cabin, and the aircraft plunging without warning. How did a routine flight turn into a terrifying fight for survival? The Boeing 777-300ER is one of the most advanced and dependable long-haul aircraft ever built. Designed for efficiency and comfort, this twin-engine jet has been a favorite among airlines for years. It's a workhorse of the skies, built to handle ultra-long-haul flights with ease while keeping passengers comfortable. The ER in its name stands for extended range, which means it can travel incredibly long distances without refueling, perfect for flights like Singapore Airlines SQ321, connecting major global hubs. What makes the 777-300ER stand out is its powerful twin-engine design, which provides excellent fuel efficiency without sacrificing performance. With engines capable of producing over 110,000 pounds of thrust, it's one of the most powerful commercial aircraft in operation. This aircraft is known for its smooth ride thanks to cutting-edge aerodynamics and advanced stability controls, making turbulence feel less intense compared to older aircraft models. This particular Boeing 7730ER, registered as 9VSWM, had been flying for 16 years with Singapore Airlines. That's a long time, but in aviation, years don't necessarily mean an aircraft is outdated. It had undergone regular maintenance and safety inspections, ensuring it remained in top condition. Airlines follow strict regulations when it comes to aircraft maintenance, and Singapore Airlines has one of the best reputations in the industry for safety and upkeep. With a proven track record and a reputation for safety, the Boeing 777-300ER was built for reliability. It had flown thousands of passengers across continents without any major issues. That's what made what happened next so unexpected. The journey began at London Heathrow Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. Flight SQ321 was preparing for its long-haul trip to Singapore, and everything was going as planned. Passengers checked in, found their seats, and settled in for the 13-hour flight. The flight deck crew, made up of highly experienced pilots, went through their pre-flight checks to ensure everything was in order. Once everything was set, the aircraft was cleared for departure. As it rolled down the runway, the engines roared to life, pushing the massive jet forward with immense power. Within seconds, the Boeing 777-300ER lifted off smoothly into the sky, climbing steadily to its cruising altitude. For those inside, it was just another routine takeoff, something this aircraft had done thousands of times before. As the plane leveled off at cruising altitude, passengers began to settle into their journey. Some stretched out, got comfortable in their seats, and turned on the in-flight entertainment system. Others pulled out books, scrolled through their phones, or simply closed their eyes for a nap. For the crew, the real work had just begun. The cabin crew moved through the aisles, offering drinks, snacks, and meals. They were trained to ensure every passenger had a comfortable experience, whether it was a business traveler needing a quiet space to work or a family with kids looking for extra attention. The mood on board was relaxed, just like any other long-haul flight. Passengers chatted softly, the hum of the engines filled the cabin, and the outside world slowly faded away as the aircraft continued its journey eastward. Flying at 37,000 feet over Myanmar, everything seemed routine. The passengers on Singapore Airlines, Flight SQ321, were comfortable, enjoying their meals, watching movies, or catching some sleep before arriving in Singapore. Outside, the sky looked calm, with no storm clouds in sight. The pilots had checked the weather reports before takeoff. There were no warnings of rough air ahead. Then, in an instant, everything changed. Without warning, the plane lurched violently. It wasn't just a small bump or shake. It was a sudden, extreme drop that sent anything not secured flying into the air. The aircraft had hit what is known as clear air turbulence, one of the most dangerous types of turbulence, because it can't be seen on radar and gives no advance warning. Unlike turbulence caused by storms, this was completely invisible. 1 second, the plane was flying smoothly. The next, it was caught in a terrifying freefall. Inside the cabin, chaos erupted. Passengers who weren't wearing seatbelts were thrown out of their seats, slamming into the ceiling before crashing back down. Some hit overhead compartments with force, causing bin covers to break open and send luggage spilling out. Food trays, drinks, and service carts became dangerous projectiles, adding to the confusion and injuries. Flight attendants, who had been in the middle of serving meals, were caught off guard, some hitting the ceiling or being thrown across the aisles. People screamed. The cabin was filled with the sounds of falling objects, gasps of shock, and cries of pain. Amid the chaos, one 73-year-old British passenger suffered a heart attack. Others were left bruised, bleeding, or in shock from the sudden drop. For those strapped in, all they could do was hold on tightly to their armrests, watching as the aircraft shook violently around them. It lasted only moments, but it felt like an eternity. The aircraft, which had dropped hundreds of feet in mere seconds, finally began to stabilize. But the damage had already been done. The crew had to act fast. Lives were on the line.
40, 30, 20, 10.
As soon as the turbulence subsided, the pilots worked quickly to stabilize the aircraft. The sudden altitude drop triggered alarms in the cockpit, and the pilots immediately checked the flight systems to ensure everything was still functioning properly. At the same time, the captain made an urgent announcement over the intercom, instructing passengers to remain seated and keep their seatbelts fastened. Back in the cabin, the crew was already moving. Despite some of them being injured from the turbulence, their training kicked in. Their priority was assessing the most seriously injured passengers. Those who had hit the ceiling or been thrown across the cabin needed immediate medical attention. The crew quickly called for any doctors or medically trained passengers on board to assist. Near the center of the plane, attention turned to the elderly passenger who had collapsed from cardiac arrest. Several people rushed to help, performing CPR and using the onboard emergency medical kit in a desperate attempt to revive him. Flight attendants worked alongside them, providing oxygen and monitoring his condition. Despite their best efforts, the situation was critical. Elsewhere, flight attendants checked on dozens of other injured passengers. Some had suffered deep cuts, broken bones, or head injuries. First aid supplies were handed out, and those with minor injuries were helped back into their seats. The crew kept communicating with the cockpit, relaying details of the injuries so the pilots could coordinate with air traffic control for an emergency landing. The reality of the situation was clear. This flight could not continue to Singapore. The only option was to land as soon as possible and get medical help for those who needed it. The nearest major airport was Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok, and the pilots requested an immediate diversion. In the cabin, the fear and shock from the turbulence hadn't worn off. Some passengers sat in stunned silence, still processing what had just happened. Others clutched their injuries, trying to manage their pain. The flight attendants did everything they could to comfort and assist those on board, while the pilots guided the aircraft toward Bangkok. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.